So, as Jessica said, my name's Rachel Murphy. I own the company Simplify My Life. I will be 10 years old in October. So, I'm about to celebrate my first decade of doing this professionally. Now, when I talk to a group, I really don't like to talk at you. I want to talk with you. So, I really like to make this interactive so that you can kind of tell me what you have going on, and then the presentation can kind of actually answer your questions and not just have you sitting here listening to me for 40 minutes. So I help people organize, declutter, downsize, move. That's what I'm doing down here in Texas. And so that's kind of me in a nutshell. If you want to find me, you can find me on my website at simplifymylifeict.com. You can also follow me on Facebook. I'm always sharing tips. So to start out, does anybody have an area where they're kind of struggling with or questions about decluttering that we can get started with? Or do you want me to just start into my spiel? They're so quiet, Jessica. Everybody's so organized. Okay, well, let's start with something that I think a lot of people struggle with. Have you ever held on to an item because someday you might use it? A few hands. Okay, have you ever held on to an item because it was gifted to you and you feel the responsibility of owning that item because of that relationship with the person? A few more hands. Okay, so let's start there. I really like to start there because I think we all go through that. And what we do is we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to keep this item because of that relationship. And if you walk away with nothing else, I want you to remember this particular saying. If we hold on to everything, nothing is special. Number one. So if we have somebody who we've lost and we inherited everything that they gave us, that's usually going to be in a room in a whole bunch of boxes. And as we pass by said room, we kind of run so the monster doesn't pull us in. Can anybody relate? Yeah? Okay, so I think it's really important that we understand that when we are gifted something, whether it be a wedding, whether it be a loss of somebody, whether it be a gift from a child, that's where it starts and that's where it ends. It's in the giving and the receiving. And if that item no longer works for you, it is okay to let it go. And I'm going to share a personal story. So I live in the country and I knew in my kitchen I wanted a rooster. And I would normally show you my rooster, but my silly dog broke it and broke my heart in breaking this rooster. But I looked for my rooster. His name was Brock. I looked for him for 3 years. I wanted to find the perfect rooster for my kitchen. And I would use him to decorate every season. I had like a little gate with flowers for spring. I had a little Santa hat for him for Christmas time. And I loved Brock. But all of a sudden, because of this one rooster, my family and friends decided I wanted a collection of roosters and chickens. Okay, I'm seeing a few heads shake here. So all of a sudden, every birthday, special occasion, Mother's Day, I'm getting tea towels. I'm getting oven mitts. I'm getting stuffed animals. I'm getting just all these chickens and just aprons. Like they're all coming into my house, and I never wanted this. So one day, as I am dusting the mantle on my fireplace, I have these little salt and pepper shakers that are chicken and a rooster. And I'm just thinking to myself, if I dust just a little bit harder, I might be able to knock these off and they will break. And I don't have to deal with them anymore. And it was that aha moment for me that I said, okay, these are making me so miserable. I'm trying to figure out how to purposely, unpurposely break them. And that showed me personally how much power these things had over me. So I went and got a box. It was very close to the holidays. And I started putting every chicken and rooster, everything you can imagine in this box. And I put it in my hall closet. And then Christmas came and my family came over and I made them a lovely Christmas dinner. We opened up presents. And then once everybody was happy and settled, I brought this box out. And I started the conversation like this: my family, I love you. I love you so much, but I do not love all these chickens and roosters. And so I am gifting these back to you. Please take what you want, and what you don't, I'm going to be taking to Goodwill as soon as it opens. Now, the little brats, because I have 4 children who I do love, but they took like one thing. And guys, we're talking a box that was full of chicken and rooster stuff. But that day for me was so freeing because I allowed my home and my space to reflect what I loved. And it was a hard conversation. I was scared. I love my children. I didn't want to hurt their feelings or, make them uncomfortable. But I also realized that my space is mine, and this is how I wanted to use it. So if you have a collection that you now care for, that you did not plan on having a collection of, I give you permission here and now to have that difficult conversation and start to let those things go. Hold on to the ones that mean something, but let go of what doesn't, because I guarantee you, if something happens to you, that collection that you've left, your children, your friends are not going to want it. And it's going to wind up the same place that you would take it. Does that make sense? Does anybody feel a little more free from their collection? Maybe just a little? Okay, so let's talk about downsizing. And because I see a lot of people in the audience who are kind of older. And do we have anybody who's in the process of downsizing? Thinking about downsizing? Okay, maybe one. Okay. Well, so what I often hear with downsizing, or really with any organizing, is I don't know where to start. Can anybody relate to that? I just don't know where to start. So I always say start in the heart of the home. One of the easiest ways to kind of know what serves you and what doesn't is, does everybody have a camera, a phone, iPhone, Android? Take a picture. Take a picture of the room that you're in. And when you look at that picture, look at what stands out and what doesn't work for that space. And start to either find a new home for those items or let them go. Because we often hold on to things because they were a gift. Someone passed them on to us and we love that someone. Or we might use it someday. Or we paid a lot of money for it. Or, mother-in-law comes over and if she doesn't see it sitting on the mantle, she'll kill me. Got a few laughs from that one, so we can relate. This is your space. So it's so important that your home reflects what's important to you. So when you start to go through your home, I want you to think about, how does this item serve me, or do I love it? And those are really important questions because so much of the time we hold on to things because we spent money on them, or because we went on vacation and in that shop when we were in that vacation, that $100 item seemed like such a good deal. And we were going to wear it all over Kansas, ha, ha, ha. And we don't. And so it just sits there and it takes up space. And everything we own takes our life energy. Have you ever thought about that? think every item in your home takes your life energy. And so if we don't have the things around us that are useful or that we love, and we just have a lot of stuff around us, all of that is taking our mental, emotional, physical energy and space. So it's really, really important that as we're going through things that we're really looking at them, how do they serve us? Do they earn what they take? And if they don't, it's really important that we give ourselves permission to be able to let those things go. Does that make sense? Does anybody yet have a question or a specific area that they're struggling with that they would want to share or ask a couple questions about? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I had all these little trinkets from when I was a child, and I was going through them intending to maybe get rid of them. But then I see on the back of each one, it says made in China, or excuse me, made in Japan. It's like, that was very common back then, but we don't have anything now that's inexpensive that says made in Japan on the back. So then I think, well, are these worth something, Maybe I shouldn't get rid of them. And I don't know where to find an answer to that question, except
Okay. Well, I like to look at it like Beanie Babies. Anybody remember Beanie Babies? Yeah. Well, I have literally handled thousands of Beanie Babies because everybody thinks, okay, these are going to be worth so much money. There's about 10 of them that if you have one, you definitely want to sell it because you can buy your dream house or go on a super long, year vacation. But those are the ones that were the mess ups. So what you're struggling with happens a lot. I see it with China. Like people will hold on to China because, oh, it's really valuable, or I spent a lot of money on it at one time, so it must be valuable. I see it with crystal. And here's the problem with all of those things is that everybody's thinking the same thing. And so the market is inundated. So what I would say is go do some research. You can take your phone, you can take a picture of the item through Google, and it will pull that item up and take you to where others might be. Another thing that you could do is you could always contact an antique dealer and see, because if it is valuable, definitely you either want to pass that on to somebody who wants it. Let me say that again, who actually wants it, right? We don't want to pass our collections on to somebody else out of guilt or responsibility. Or sell it. But there are ways to be able to kind of figure that out. It's just like China. A lot of people have China. Anybody in the audience have a China set sitting in a cabinet or, with the nice little protectors? So
nobody else?
Yeah, I do.
no, there were about 4 or 5 hands. Say again.
I have 2 sets.
2 sets. Let's play a game. Anybody got 3? No? Okay. You guys froze up, so I don't know. Did somebody raise their hand? 3 sets? No. Okay. So when was the last time you're in the second row and you just told me you had 2 sets? I apologize. I don't know your name. When's the last time you used them?
The last time I used it. Remember, maybe once. Maybe
Once.
never,
Okay. Once. So let me.
What's that?
One more time.
Yeah, it probably has been. 10
I'm sorry.
10 years.
10 years. Okay. Perfect. So 10 years. So where is your China at?
So in the closet.
Okay. Upstairs or downstairs?
Both.
Okay. So taking up what I call valuable real estate. Something you have not used in 10 years is taking up valuable real estate. How likely are you to use the china?
You never know.
Someday, right? So let me share another personal story. So my mom and dad were leaving for a mission, and my mom had a set of china, and she wanted to pass it on to me. I'm her oldest daughter. And I said, great, I love it. It's just white. It's very pretty. And so when she brought it down, I washed it and I put it in my cabinets, in my kitchen cabinets. And I started getting rid of my old dish set. And my mom was like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing? And I said, well, I'm going to use it. And she's like, but it's China. And I said, exactly. But I would rather use it and love it and possibly break it than have it sitting in a box gathering dust where it could also be knocked over and broken. And so, what I want to say to you is on things like that, if you love it and you will use it, stop waiting. Formal dinners don't really happen anymore. Take out the things that you love and start using them. Give them a purpose or get them out of your space. Now, I had one lady ask me because she had a really nice china set and she said, I've tried to give them to my daughter. I've tried to give them to my granddaughter. I've got all these daughters and these granddaughters and nobody wants it. So my suggestion to her, and they were close by, is have a special tea. Have a special event where everybody comes together and everybody leaves with one set. Because you can display or use or hold on to one. You just don't want the full 14-piece glasses, mugs, saucers, dessert plates. And she contacted me after and she said she did that with her children, her daughters, and her grandchildren. And she had a great granddaughter as well. And said it was such a lovely event. And everybody loved taking a little piece of that away because they were taking that memory along with them. Now, it wasn't just a set of dishes. So if you're holding on to things like that, think about how can I do something like that that will allow the memories to continue and allow this to get out of my space. Because maybe you're tired of holding on to 2 sets of china. If you love it and it has tons of memories and meaning to you, by all means, hold on to it. But if it doesn't, you do have permission to let it go. Anybody holding on to a piano that they think their kids are going to want someday?
Getting rid of pianos is hard.
It is. It is. But some of the ways that you can do it is contact, and I don't know what you have in Hayes, but when you contact a local music store that gives lessons, sometimes they're going to have a student who would love to have a piano to practice on. So think about those things, other instruments as well. You know, if you've got an instrument that you're not using anymore, but you don't want it to just go to Goodwill, think about ways that you can take these things and help them live on. Furniture you don't want anymore, contact local high school and see if the theater department might love to have it. Vintage clothing, same thing. They have to go pay for that, and most high schools do not get a budget for their theater program. So that's a really good way. First, that's a really good way to pass those type of things on. So what else are we struggling with?
Kitchen gadgets on the counter.
Okay, so talk me through it. What's going on? Paint me a
So,
picture.
I have a very large kitchen and I feel like I've justified my space by having on a section of my counter, I have my steak knives, an air fryer, a bread machine, and a Keurig in a set. But it takes up a lot of space. And so I feel
Okay.
like we have have enough counter space even with all those gadgets to still like prepare food. But like,
Okay.
what if when my friend from wherever is having a pampered chef party and I see a new toy?
So you like the toys, you get caught up in the, okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the psychology of that. So when you see a new toy, is it because you love to cook and it's like you're really going to use it? Or is it because, oh my goodness, if I get this apple spinner thing, I will start making apple pie all the time with homemade crust and you know what I mean?
Yes, it's some of
We,
both.
okay.
Or you like.
So the air fryer, how often do you use the air fryer?
Weekly,
Weekly? Okay, so it's really earning its space. And I
right?
assume the Keurig is probably the same. That's probably daily.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what else? And you said you have a fairly large kitchen?
I do, yes. And I have
Okay.
a bread machine on the counter as well.
Okay, how often do you make bread?
Weekly,
Okay, so honestly, your items are being utilized. Are they all, does it feel like they're just too close together and it feels cluttered?
yes, because I feel like in between the instruments, sometimes things get laid and then it looks cluttered.
Okay.
It just,
So really what your issue is hot spots. Anybody else have hot spots? You know what hot spots are?
I should clutter.
Yeah, so it's when we come in and say we're walking in from the garage and we have our purse on our shoulder and we've got the mail in our hand and we've got a couple other things and we set it right down on the counter and then we walk away to go do what we need to do. And then something else comes in and all of a sudden that counter is just completely covered with all the things. And this happens on a regular basis. This is a hot spot, and we all have them. I have hot spots. We all have them. So, what you really need to do is just create two things. One, if you can take care of it in 2 minutes or less, do it now. Just do it right then. If you're carrying in the mail and it's like you can, first of all, open your mail over your trash can or your recycling bin. Always, always. Because get rid of what you don't need. If you have a little basket, you know, an office, you can drop it in the basket and then take it to the office later. But that is one of the number one things that will help you with paper clutter. Anybody struggle with paper clutter?
Anymore.
Open your mail over your trash can and watch it just disappear. Promise. Promise. That is a game changer move right there. This is going to sound so bad, but I even open up birthday cards or cards that come in the mail over the trash can and I read it. And if it's a beautiful message that really means something to me, I put it in what I call my smile file. And that is a file I keep in my desk when I'm having a really bad day. I can go to that file and pull these things out and read them and feel all the love people have for me. And it goes in there. And if it's just like, happy birthday, we love you, I'm like, oh, thanks, trash. I seen them, oh my gosh, did she just say that? Yes, because here's the truth of it is it's just like a gift, right? The gift is in the message. You receive it and then you let it go. Because okay, here's a moment of honesty. Who has a box somewhere with lots of cards in it, just gathering, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know you guys have one. I know you're just not raising your hands. So this allows you to not do that. But I guarantee you, I get to enjoy my cards more than almost anybody because I have the ones that are special. And when, again, I'm having a bad day, I can pull those out and that message hits my heart again, which is so much better than Happy Mother's Day, Happy Birthday. So that is another thing I want to give you permission to do, is to let those things that really just are generic, they're sweet in their message, but are generic, let those go.
But they
You
paid a
don't
lot of money.
do what?
But they paid a lot of money for it and put a stamp on it.
They do. And you know why? Because they love you. But are you going to remember, like, are you honoring that by making that sacrifice of just holding on to a card that just says happy birthday?
No.
And here's a neat thing you can do with them, guys. Here's a really cool project. So you can get a 3-hole punch with the cards that you want to keep. You punch them all, you tie a ribbon through the 3 holes, and now you've made a book. And you can actually enjoy that. You could put that on a shelf and it's right there so you can enjoy it. It is so much better than cards just sitting in a box, gathering dust, taking up valuable space. And I say this only because I've worked with literally thousands of people, and they have these boxes of cards and they are overwhelmed by them. And they're like, what do we do? And I said, well, let's go through them. Let's pull out the ones that have meaning. And not that the person sending the message doesn't have meaning in their life. It's just you don't having something that somebody put a stamp on always taking up space, because it's taking your life energy. It really is. So I know that seems a tad bit harsh, but when we let go of what doesn't continue to serve us to make room for what does, our lives are much more peaceful and much happier. Anybody know Marie Kondo, KonMari? The Magic of Tidying Up, the Netflix series? So I went and trained with Marie. And before I could train with her, I had to send her videos of my entire home and every space in it. And I had to KonMari my entire home. Now, as an organizer, it was pretty organized, and I thought I was doing pretty good. But the reality was I got rid of about 50% of what my husband and I owned. The kids were already gone. They had stuff left there, and we'll talk about that as well. But I got rid of everything that was not useful or needful or brought me joy. And do you want to know how much peace I have in my space? Because every room I walk into, I love the things that are there, or I need the things that are there. And so now all this extra stuff doesn't take up that energy. And that's the issue of the overwhelm with clutter, is that it literally takes up our mental, emotional, physical energy. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's talk about, because I see some older citizens here. Let's talk about, has anybody got kids who've left their stuff in your space? Just a few? So, okay, yeah. So my daughter, I said I have 4. My youngest daughter loved stuffed animals. And she loved these things so much that she named them and gave them birthdays and would celebrate these. And one of these things was a huge gorilla that basically took up an armchair. And I will tell you, one of the best days of my life was the day that I loaded up those stuffed animals. And she'd been in her own space, her own home. And I went and knocked on her door, and she comes to the door all happy. And I'm like, I've got a surprise for you. And she comes out to the truck, and I put the tailgate down. And I say, here you go. They're yours. They're home. And that little stinker said to me, but Mom, I don't want him here. I want to keep him at your place. That monkey is no longer on my back. It's on hers.
Gorilla did, gorilla.
Yeah, gorilla. There you go. Gorilla is no longer on my back. It's on hers. But here was the great thing. And this is, I want you to take away from this. When you make your children take their stuff, just like I made Ari take hers, she went through and she pulled out maybe 4 or 5 stuffed animals that meant the most to her to pass on to her someday children, gave a few to my nephew and my niece, and everything else was donated.
Including
went away.
gorilla?
Oh, yeah, she did not want that thing anywhere near her house. It was fine at mine, but not hers. So if you are holding on to boxes of memorabilia, pictures, stuffed animals, old toys, t-shirts from games, and your child has a place, highly suggest having that very freeing moment, because they will leave it at your place until you are gone, and they are forced to deal with it. Guaranteed. Okay, what else can we talk about? What other questions do you have? Closets, pantries?
Can I share something?
Oh, please.
Share something? I moved 5 years ago from western Kansas, from a 4-bedroom, 2-story house into a 1-bedroom apartment in Hayes. My son came one weekend to clean out his room and he started throwing everything away. He had golf medals and forensics medals, and then he threw his high school diploma away.
Whoa.
I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Mom, I have a doctorate. Why do I need that for? This is not my life anymore." And he threw away everything. So it set the tone for
And
me. It was easier for me then to get rid of things too.
His thing.
Right.
My things. I could get rid of my things then easier because he said, "This is not my life anymore. I don't need this stuff."
Right. You're in a new chapter, and our life is constantly evolving. And we have to we hold on to things because of the memory that it creates for us. Anybody got a dress, pair of pants, something in their closet they could not possibly get back into, wouldn't really wear it, but you hold on to it because you look just that dang cool in it. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about wedding dresses that we're never gonna wear again? That just lay there.
So here's the truth about the new generation coming up. I will give you this, and this I hope will free you. They will tell you what they want if you have the conversation. Hey, I'm down, just like with your son. He threw all that stuff away. And how many years did you hang on to it?
15.
Okay.
15 years.
So
Yeah.
that's a long time to hold on to stuff that just went in the garbage.
Yeah.
Honestly. So I would ask, do you have granddaughters, great granddaughters? No. There are wonderful organizations, and I'm sure they have them in Hayes as well, that could do something with that. Also, again, I know it sounds kind of like, but the theater department in your local high school, they would probably love to have something like that.
And we have Jana's Closet here in town. And they always
Okay.
Wedding dress?
wedding lip dresses, dress clothes.
Hayes Community Theater, so you
Mhm.
have community theater, you have 2 high schools, you have middle schools, you have Fort Hayes theater, so you have 3 theaters. And then plus you have all the closets and things that, all those old game t-shirts, if they're fairly new, they'll re-gift them even in the schools, like if you got TNP shirts, but your grandkids are no longer in TNP, you give them back and then they'll re-gift them out.
I love that. There are so many organizations. If we do the research, and I'm starting to put resources and links on my website. It's taking a little while because I have to do the research, but like Legos, what do we do with Legos, right? There is a program with Lego that if you contact them, they will send you a box. They will pay for the box. You throw all the Legos in there, you send it back, they wash them, and then they put them in preschools, schools of poor communities. There are so many wonderful organizations out there like Dress for Success for women for clothing. And they don't just want business clothing. That's kind of a rumor that's not true because these women need clothes for just kicking it around. So jeans, they do take bras. They ask underwear is new, which makes sense. But you know, if you've ever bought some and then you don't wear it and it's still got the tag on it, there are wonderful, wonderful programs. The fire departments will usually take stuffed animals because if somebody has had their house burned down and a child has just lost everything, that little teddy bear can mean the world to them in that moment. So it's really thinking about how to use the things that we no longer need or want differently. And there are so many wonderful organizations. Crayons Crayola does something with broken crayons as well. They mold them all together and make big crayons of like rainbow colors, and then those are donated. I can't remember what the program is, but that's there. So there's toy programs, especially big toys. But you know, think about your hospitals. Think about especially hospitals where kids are at. There are different things like that that you can do. I think we're close to out of time. So real quick, I want to give you guys a couple of tips for closet. Does anybody struggle with closets?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a couple of quick tips with your closet. Number one, especially if you have limited space, is put your clothing together by season: spring and summer, fall and winter. By doing that, you create more space in your closet and you get to fall in love with what you have all over again. So, what I suggest is you get two clear totes, large clear totes that you put your off season clothing in that you can easily get to. Because, hey, if it's the middle of winter and your husband's like, surprise, surprise, we're going on a cruise, you need your cruise clothes. So, you want to be able to get to those things easily. But then what this does is when the season is over and you're hanging these new things up because you haven't seen them continually, you get to fall in love with them again. The other thing is when you actually start to unpack that closet is hang your hangers backwards. Once you wear the item and launder it, then you can hang it the correct way. That way, at the end of the season, you can quickly see what you did not wear. And those are things you can think about possibly donating or selling. Are you guys aware of the clothing programs that are out there like ThreadUp? Okay, so if you have things in your closet and you don't want to deal with them anymore, ThreadUp, you can contact them. You just put the app on your phone. You have them send you a mail bag. You throw all the clothes in there and they'll take care of the rest. They'll list it. If they sell it, you'll get a certain amount of money for it. And if they don't, they will either send it back if you ask them to. They do charge you for that, or they will donate them to worthy causes. So that's a really good way to help clear out your closet and make a little bit of money. Okay, any other questions? Jessica, are we 40 minutes or do we go longer than that? I just want to make sure.
We typically do presentations 45 minutes and then 15 minutes questions. So it's kind of
Okay, good. So what other struggles are you guys having? What can we talk about? Yes, sir.
What is just bedrooms?
Okay.
Like just messy bedrooms.
Okay, so first thing, your bedroom should always be your safe place to fall. 100%. The first thing I'm going to say is even if it is super messy, every day when you get up, make your bed. Make your bed, make your bed, make your bed, just like your mama said, everyone said, make your bed. It is so important because of that first win of the day. I want you to imagine that you go on a trip and you go to a hotel and you walk in and that bed is not made. Who's staying in the room?
Who's what?
Are you gonna stay in the room?
Yeah. Are you going to stay in the room? Are you going to go down to, the customer service, ding that bell and be like, no, not okay. Right? Because when you walk into that room, you feel that release, like you finally arrived, you get to relax, you have a place to lay down your stuff. Your room is no different than that. So step one is make your bed. Then, and sometimes you have to take it in baby steps, right? If there's a lot going on. Step two would be get all the paper clutter out of there. Mail does not belong in your bedroom. So any mail goes out of there. Trash goes out, obviously. Number two would be the next step, clear your flat surfaces, clear your dresser, clear your nightstand. Your nightstand should have maybe a picture, some flowers, a candle, a book, reading glasses, but it really should be very limited in what you have there because you're waking up and starting the day with that. And you're ending the day with that. So if that room is cluttered and full of stuff, how are you going to relax? How are you going to have a safe place to breathe? Another thing, and they say all the time, oh, stuff under the bed. If you have limited amount of space and you need it for storage, then I would say use it. But if not, ladies and gentlemen, it kills romance. Kills it. Puts a nail right in the coffin. Because especially for women, we're thinking about the stuff that's underneath the bed, on the dresser, on the nightstand. Okay, you're laughing so hard. I love it. You know what I'm talking about. So it's really important that we make that space. If there's no other space that is ours and it's just a place that we can let our minds relax, it needs to be in our bedroom so we can start our day and end our night with a little bit of peace. So tell me what you've got going on in the bedroom. Let's break this down.
Well, some papers and some, well, collective stuff and just past items of
Okay.
mine.
So what I would do is the tip that I gave you about taking a picture of your bedroom. Take a picture and look at everything because, okay, let me back up for just a second. We all have what's called clutter blindness. So we will go into a space, and I'll give you another example. I would go and work with somebody who was trying to sell their home. And it would be cluttered and the cabinets would be cluttered and it would not be ready. And then they would go to a home and they thought it was, and then they would go to a home that was bigger, more space, less cluttered. And they're like, oh, I can't live here. This is just so cluttered. There's no space. There's no room. Because after a while, when we see the same thing over and over and over again, that's just the way it becomes. Like that's how we see it. And so our clutter and those things stop being hot points for us. We stop seeing them the way they actually are. But when you take a picture with your phone and you zoom in to see this is how this space actually looks, that clutter blindness just drops off and you start to see, okay, Maybe I don't need 8 cups in my bedroom. Maybe last year's coat that I would never wear again shouldn't be on the floor. That kind of thing. So it's really about taking that space back, take a picture, look at what you see just first off that needs to go. Start there. After you what? What's the first thing you do?
Take a picture.
Make your bed.
Make your bed. Absolutely. And if you have children, if any of you have small children, their stuff does not belong in your room unless they're sharing the room with you. Once you get your room clear, you need to guard that room, that space, like a dragon guards its treasure. That is your space. So take 10 minutes at the end of the night and go put things that should not be in that space away. 10 minutes. Set a timer. It won't even take you 10 minutes. Anyone want to guess how long it usually takes to make a bed? Because it can seem so daunting, right? Like, oh my gosh, I have to make my bed.
Depends how many pillows you put
I'd
on
say a
it.
minute and a half.
About 58 seconds.
You're so close.
And that's if you have a lot of pillows. If your bed is clear, it is so easy to make, and you've already won your first challenge of the day. You walk into that space, and now if you need to lay something down, you have a place to do it. If you need to crawl in your bed and read a book, guess what? You don't have to clear anything. You can just lay down and read a book and take that mental time that we need. Because right now, guys, life is hard. It is really hard, and there are so many things hitting us. We have to have safe spaces that we can go to. Did that help?
Yep,
Okay, so you're going to make your bed and then go after the paper.
yep.
And sometimes, honestly, what it is we're so overwhelmed by the things that if we set a timer for 5 minutes and just go until that timer ends, and then we give ourselves a break, maybe 15 minutes, and go watch a show. Because I'll be honest, sometimes after dealing with lots of clients, I go to my own space and it's like, I don't want to do the dishes. Like, I don't want to do the dishes. It's been a long day. So I will set a timer for 15 minutes and I'll go watch something I want to watch. And when that timer goes off, I go set it for 5 minutes and I take care of the dishes. And when that timer goes off, I go back to my show and I play that game until I get it done. Sometimes that's what we have to do, because just doing those little tasks to help break up some of that overwhelm, we just need a push. We just need a start. So, couple of tips. 2 minutes or less. Do it when?
Right
now. Because everybody's got 2 minutes. What we don't have is 10, 15, 20 minutes. So if we ignore 10 things that we could have done in 2 minutes or less, now we're looking at 20 minutes. Right? And that's where the overwhelm comes in. But if we hang up our purse the minute we walk through the door and we hang up our keys, it's done. We know exactly where our purse is and we know exactly where our keys are. If we put away the groceries as soon as we walk in, they're done. So 2 minutes or less, do it now. Take 10 minutes at the end of the evening and take care of your hot spots. And this may be shoes, this may be mail.
Yeah.
All of these little things are what really help you create a decluttered, organized life. And what you'll find is as you do those little things and you conquer those and those become habit, making your bed 2 minutes or less, all of a sudden you have more time in your day and your mind is clearer so you can move on to some of the harder things. Real quick, let's talk about paper clutter. So if you have paper clutter, the paper monster. And first of all, if you do, 70% of all American adults have paper clutter. So number one, you are not alone. We will receive over 68,000 pieces of mail in our adult life if we live to 75. That's a lot of paper to come into your space. So if you have that struggle, what I suggest is get a little basket about yay big, and you fill that with your paper. And then go and sort through that and work through it as you're watching the show or doing something just that kind of doesn't take a lot of mental energy. Because what will happen is you'll be concentrating on that. You're still dealing with the problem. And pretty soon that monster is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But start by opening your mail over your trash can. Okay, Jessica, we've got about 7 minutes. Does anybody have questions I haven't addressed? Anybody got
I do, but
particular?
we've got one over here. I just don't think you can see her.
Okay,
Can you see me now?
I can see you now. Hello, lovely.
Okay, what you talked about the collections that people have that they didn't want, but like, what do you say to people who are collectors, like on purpose? So like, I collect items related to the Titanic. It's just some like
Okay,
books, and I've been to Titanic Museum, so I kind of gathered like a few little things, and they're really special to me. But I have a bunch of other collections too.
How many questions?
I have a Shakespeare collection. I have a Star Wars collection. I have K-pop.
okay. Can you come into the camera where I can
Yeah.
see you just a little
Yeah.
bit more?
Here.
Okay. So you love your
Mhm.
collection.
Yes, I love stuff.
Your collection serves you. It brings you
Mhm.
joy. It brings you happiness. What I would say to you is if for some reason, so I used to love precious moments, right?
Mhm.
I went to the Precious Moments Museum, had lots of precious moments, and then I had my kids, and I'm like, they didn't have the same meaning. So the thing I would say is give yourself permission that if something changes, that you allow that collection to go away to make room for another one or something else. Now, I would say if that happens, it's going to be really important to you that your collection goes to something important. So I would research where it could go. But this isn't about decluttering, and organizing is never about getting rid of what you love. It's about having what you love and what you need around you. So enjoy your collection. It sounds amazing.
It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
So don't look at it any different than curating your closet, right? We have a closet. So who knows how much stuff we actually wear compared to how much stuff we keep? Anybody know? We wear 20% of what we own.
Say that again.
Oh, it's less than that.
We wear 20% of what we own.
Less.
20% of what we own, because when you go to your closet, you know what you love, what feels good, what you want to wear, and you're going to put it on over and over and over and over again. So I say with your closet, curate your closet. Your closet should be, when you walk into it, should have things in it you love. But we buy things and we hold on to things because somehow we feel like it just means more when the closet's full. So same thing with your collection. If you go through your collection and it's like, you know what, I did really like this, but I really don't like this because I've replaced it with this. Like, I liked this blouse, but I never wear it. But I love this blouse and I've replaced this blouse with this blouse. Let it go. That would be the thing that I would say, because that's going to prevent you from just becoming a collector. You're more of a curator. You are finding things that you love and you're putting in a collection. But if you go to Titanic store and you buy one of everything just because it's the Titanic store, number one, you're going to need a bigger place, but you don't do that, right? You go through and you pick out things that are special or that mean something. That is curating a collection. So just keep doing that. And if something no longer serves you, let it go. Bless somebody else.
Got it. My mom calls me a hoarder, but I tell her I'm a collector, but now I'm gonna tell her I'm a curator.
I love that. Are you keeping tissues and condiment packets?
No.
Straws? You're okay. You're
Got it.
okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
But also don't let your collection overtake your space. That is very important as well.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. What else? What else you guys got for me?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm having, my mom passed away probably 10 years ago, and I am struggling with her stuff. She has this big chest full of jewelry, like Sarah Coventry. I mean, she just.
Okay.
I am struggling with getting rid of that, but I don't even know what to do with it. You know.
Are there any pieces that when you look at it, not as a collection, but just individually, are there any pieces that just really stand out to you? That
They all do. That's the problem. It's like, oh, I can't get rid of that. I remember what outfit she wore with that. You know, it's so hard. So
It is. So one of the best ways to get rid of something like that, because it's, yeah, you're remembering your mom in that. And I totally get that. You know, my mom wore the same set of pearls all the time. And when she was downsizing for this mission, she's like, what do you want? And I said, I want your pearls and I want your journals. And she was horrified because she had a 5-bedroom home. And she's like, you don't want this? You don't want, I'm like, nope. I want your pearls because I remember you putting those on every Sunday. And if you're not going to take those, that's what I want. And I want your journals. I want your history.
You can wear her pearls.
Do what?
Well, you can wear her pearls.
Yeah. So what I would say is start small. When you're letting go, don't think about what you're getting rid of. And this is for all of you. Don't think about what you're getting rid of. Pull out what you love first. Always pull out what you love first. We have a natural rebellious side to us that when we have to get rid of something, even if we want to get rid of it, that we start to fight. Well, I can't get rid of that. I might need that someday. Well, I can't get rid of that. She wore this with this. I can't. But when we start with pulling out what we know we love, we eliminate that voice. And so what starts to happen is you pull out the ones that you love or you know had the most memory, and you separate those from the others. You're not having to get rid of anything yet. I'm going to help you get rid of, though. And then you find a cause that would mean something to you or mean something to your mother, and you maybe donate a piece here or donate a piece there. Like if she loved theater, jewelry, right? So it's the overwhelm of all of it. So if you just start small, but start by pulling out what you love, what means the most. And here's a great way to do it. So give me an idea of how many pieces.
It's a welder's chest.
So 200?
Oh.
300?
200, I'd say.
200. Okay. And so you would feel good taking your mom out of the equation. You would feel good if you could get rid of 10%, right? Let's just start there.
Whole chest.
Right, but you're not there yet.
I know.
But you're not there yet.
Okay.
So you say,
Give me
okay.
to an art student. That would be a good thing.
That would be amazing.
I've seen all those. Yeah, you just can't get the.
Crafting.
That would be amazing. Or like here in Wichita, we have Carpenter House, which takes in young women that have been on the street, who've been rescued from very bad situations. And so a lot of the times with my clients, I will take the craft stuff that they no longer want, that they're ready to let go, and we take it to Carpenter House. And that does amazing things for those young ladies. So again, so let's say we just go with 10%. So that's 20 pieces. So 20 pieces that you can let go. And by doing that, and then you just revisit it. Okay. Now, if somebody else has other things, say stuff in the kitchen, and it's like, well, maybe I will need to create a maybe box, a box that's somewhere easy to get to, that you put things in. I've seen those hands. That's easy to get to, that you can put those items in, that if you do maybe need them, you could quickly go get them. And in 6 months, you put a timer on your phone, a reminder. In 6 months, when that time's up, if you haven't used it, load it in the car and get it out of there. Because you just proved to yourself that it's not something you really needed. And if you do, you'll go get it. It's super easy. It's more it's final that we struggle with. One more tip, if you can replace it by driving 10 minutes or less, don't hold on to maybe items. Someday items, just let them go. It's not worth the amount of struggle that you're having mentally, or the space that it's taking. Jessica, are you still there?
I am.
Okay.
What would you say to somebody who has things they're willing to get rid of, but they might be worth a little money on eBay, and they want to sell them on eBay, but don't have time to sell them on eBay?
Okay. Jessica, I had a really hard time hearing that question. I'm sorry.
If someone has something that they know is worth a little bit of money and will sell it on eBay, but don't have time to sell it on eBay, what to do?
Hire somebody. Give them a little cut.
Who does eBay sales?
Just hire somebody. A teenager would probably love that. Hire somebody and just let them do it. You're going to gain more by letting the item going, putting a little money in your pocket, than you are with it just sitting there taking up the space. Anything else?
What about the clutter in your house that's not yours?
Okay. So,
Yeah.
husband?
Thank
Okay.
Or kids, I mean, it could be kids too,
Yeah,
children. In my case, it's the husband, in her case, it could be her teenager.
Okay. Can you give me an example?
So our stuff is a lot of inherited stuff, and it's very emotional.
Yes.
So, we're trying just little by little, every year or so, get out another box. I've found as time goes on, it's easier to get rid of more, in small pieces, but I'm guessing I'm not the only one in the room that is here, but also may have a partner who's not. So how do you help encourage others to also get rid of their things so that your space is collectively peaceful?
So it's a little manipulative. So I'm going to start with that. But it's really by listening to them. So, say this stuff is taking up a space in the garage or in the basement. Like, where is the stuff?
So at our house, it was in our basement living room until last weekend, and then it moved to the storage room. So, it was oppressive in the living room, just piled there, and we were able to go through and move some stuff, but now our storage room is just full.
Okay. So a really good way to do it is to find out, how would they like to use the storage room? Like, you're listening for little clues. Like if he walks in that storage room and it's like, first of all, does he get overwhelmed by the clutter the way you do? Or
No.
does he not even see
It
it?
doesn't bother them at all.
No,
Doesn't bother him
it
at all?
bothers me a lot more.
Okay. So that's a little harder because you're fighting somebody who maybe grew up that way or is very comfortable in that situation. So that's very home to them. So I would start very small by just letting them know, number one, hey, this is really overwhelming to me. So the way you're doing it, going through a box at a time and maybe repackaging it, but listen to the language that he uses. Like, well, this really means something to me because of, but I think I could get rid of this because of blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a process. This is not easy. Because he may not still get rid of it, right? But the next time you maybe address that, you use the language that he used. You help him hear his own words. Or if it's a space like your living room, it was probably easier when it was in the living room, believe it or not, because maybe he wants to use the living room to watch the game or whatever. And so you want to create a vision of how they want to use the space and start to help them make that happen. Is that making any sense? And then number one is be the example. Be the example. So, like, you start getting rid of stuff that you can and be like, hey, I'm going through these boxes today and this is my plan. Do you have anything you want to add? What you don't want to do is come at them. You don't want to belittle them. You don't want to use words like hoarder because instantly you've got to fight.
Curator.
Do what?
Curator.
Yeah, curate. No, you stop that. So you have to walk, and it's very hard. I work with quite a few people who struggle with hoarding disorder, and it is a disorder. So you really have to walk that fine line, but the best thing you can do is be an example, be patient, guide, and parrot back when he's saying he wants something different. Paint that picture over and over and over again, because now it's no longer what you want, it's what he wants, and you're helping him get it. Makes
Well,
sense?
Well, like you said, they put it in the storeroom and
Yeah,
I know that's one for me, that's, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, so it doesn't bother me at all.
This is somebody that's got 70 cups. Hey, collect some more.
I'd like me to wear dirty ones, and I can't wear clean ones out in the yard.
yeah, well, just remember, everything you leave, your kids or grandkids are going to have to deal with. And so sometimes it's really nice if you can go through and point out the important things to them and tell them the stories that go with that so that they understand why, and you get the rest of it out of the way so they can actually enjoy it and not be overwhelmed and just pull up to your house with a dumpster and just throw everything away. Because I will tell you, today's generation, that if they don't understand and they are overwhelmed, they don't, number one, have the time, two, have the energy, or three, have the knowledge of what mattered. All they see is stuff they've got to get out of the way so they can get back to their busy lives. So if you can help them by doing that, by clearing out the extra stuff, that will be a game changer for all of you. And do it while you, sorry.
My oldest son told me, don't worry about it, we'll just burn the whole thing down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much true. All right. Are there any final questions? Any final things I can help with?
What about dishes, you special dishes that really don't serve a purpose, but you keep them, you buy,
If that's
Things-
mummification or.
no, not that so much, but that was my mom's dish, this was my mother-in-law's favorite dish, and pretty soon they just keep multiplying and you have all this storage space for them that,
Again, it's really about finding the ones, if we keep everything, nothing special. Finding the ones that are really special to you and then passing that on. Granddaughter, daughter, hey, this was grandma, great grandma's dish, and she used this every Sunday night when she served dinner to the family. That's no longer just a dish that's going to end up at Goodwill. That has a story, it has meaning. But if you hand them 50 dishes like that, guess what? They're all gone.
Okay.
And that's just the harsh reality, because kids today don't want stuff, they want memories. So if you're holding on to stuff for your kids, I suggest you get your kids over there and you say, what do you want? What do you want? I'm not going to be, and you can't be upset. You can't be upset about what they don't want. Honor what they do. Tell them the stories. Help them continue the memories, but don't overwhelm their space the way yours feels. Your dishes sitting in the cabinet that your child doesn't want might be great starter dishes for somebody moving into an apartment for the first time. So find some good organizations that you can donate those things to. Ask your kids what they want. Don't be upset when they tell you what they do and what they don't. And then a lot of like my kids, I've already started giving them things they want. I want them to enjoy them now while I can see them enjoying them. Because in the end, guys, it's all stuff. We don't take any of this to heaven. Just saying. Well, Jessica, we've gone over, and I'm more than happy to answer any more questions, but I also don't want people to have to sit here and listen to me ramble all night.
well, does she have a
Can you
book?
tell us your name again so we can find you on Facebook?
Yes, it's Rachel Murphy. My company is Simplify My Life, and that's where you can find me on Facebook. My website is simplifymylifeict.com. And I do have a organizing deck that I just put out that will help you organize and declutter your home in 52 weeks. So in a year, if any of you are interested in, it gives you one assignment every week to do to, by the end of the year, have your home standing tall.
So how do we get those?
You can get them on the website. You can get them on the website. It's also on my Instagram. So I also have Instagram. I have TikTok, and I have all the socials.
And I'll try. We are posting this on later on for our homebound patrons. So I will try to get that information. I'll have Rachel email it to me and get it.
Oh yeah, I can do that. I can send you a link.
That link.
Absolutely.
That way we can have all those on that video as well.
Question, are you decluttering your house there with the packing boxes or what?
I am helping a friend move into her beautiful new home. So yes, I'm in Texas,
And
and
be
we are
decluttered
doing.
at the same time.
We are, and she's doing so good. I'm so proud of her. I'm like, do you need this? Do you need this?
All right, then. Does anyone else have any final questions for Rachel before we sign off for the night?
Thank you very much.
No,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. It was so nice to meet all of you. Happy decluttering and organizing. And remember, no being mad at anybody for stuff they don't want.
All right, thank you.